Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. What the slump yesterday is. The slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all.
These losses stay with me. They fester, Jerry.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports. Friday, April 3rd. 0-1 on the show yesterday as we lost with Winnipeg. They didn't score, so they weren't going to be able to get that done. I'm pretty surprised. I thought it was the right spot for it. Got some of the other things right yesterday. I was correct about both of those toss-up baseball games. Had some of the other hockey games right. NBA, maybe my reads were not as good. College basketball, not really either, but whatever. We're going to move on today. There's no college basketball today. Very strange scheduling, really, for college basketball, as the Final Four for, I guess, the Crown is going to happen on the same day as the actual Final Four, and then the NIT final, I think, is Sunday, and then, of course, the actual tournament final is Monday. And then I guess the Crown also will be, I don't even know. Or the Crown might be Sunday as well. I don't even know, man. The Crown might be Saturday, Sunday. I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing here. But today, I don't like the board at all today. We do have a full baseball board. And usually these starts of series, I usually have some good situational angles. I don't really like it today. I will give out one play today. I don't even know if I like that, to be honest. I'm getting into the system right now here. All right, there it is. And then, there's 2 hockey games. Not really interested in those. NBA, skipping again. NBA, dude, I'm definitely going to have NBA plays once the playoffs start. But this end of season stretch, it's like so difficult to find actual good plays in the NBA. So that's just the way that it is. All right, let's talk about baseball. We have a bunch of afternoon baseball here. Most teams did not play yesterday because you have a lot of teams traveling, new series starting today for the most part. When that happens, I do think that the offenses tend to cool off a little bit when you have days off, and it helps the bullpens, obviously, because the bullpens are rested. So unders in general kind of make sense in these types of spots. And I do have one under today, but it's in a game where the teams did actually play yesterday, so you could probably infer what it is from that. But Dodgers at Washington's the first game up here. Washington, their ass. I mean, this could possibly be the best team in baseball versus the worst team in baseball, which is why the Dodgers are a massive road favorite here. One of the biggest road favorites that you'll see. Washington, don't buy into their early season record. That's what I'll say. They're not that good. They're returning home from a road trip, and I know I tend to like to fade teams that are returning home from road trips, but not necessarily in this case, because these teams are having their home opener, and Washington's not going to overlook the Dodgers, So it's not really a situation where I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to just blindly fade these teams. And, in fact, I'm not fading any of them today. I got to look into this Connor Griffin guy, man, for for the Pirates here. I don't even know what position he plays. He kind of looks like Paul Skeens. He's getting the call up for the Pirates, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, this game, neither bullpen played yesterday, so the bullpens are rested. I do actually have the bullpen stats up here, but I don't know how much we want to read into this yet. Washington, I think we know their bullpen's not actually good, even though they're only 21st right now, arranged by WHIP, but we still only have a week worth of data, so I don't think I'm really going to go into this too much here. I do have the hitting stats up as well by OPS. If you look at all these numbers right now, Miami is like the best team in the league, which I'm pretty sure that's not accurate, so I don't think we're going to go by that, although Washington actually has had a good offense so far. We know the Dodgers are the better team all around here, though. Better offense, better bullpen, better starting pitcher on the mound. I mean, I don't think we have to go into too much detail here. Emmett Sheehan is pitching for the Dodgers. I do actually think he's good. Had kind of a rough debut against Arizona. They're at least a pretty good offense. He did have a 6-2 strikeout walk ratio, which wasn't that bad, but he didn't go deep into the game, did give up some runs. Miles Mikolas pitching for Washington. We faded him here on the show in his first game. Got a pretty easy win with the Cubs in that game. Mikolas, he's not very good, man. I mean, he's an aging junk pitcher. He got kind of knocked around in that game. Did give up a couple of unearned runs in that game as well, but I prefer Sheehan out of the two starters here as the young, more talented pitcher, in my opinion. Money is coming in on Washington, though, and I think it is really all about the price, with LA being up to minus 250. 62% of the tickets on them, 69% of the cash on Washington. I'm not interested in the Dodgers here. I guess we do have to look at the starting pitchers versus the opposing bats before I throw this game to the wind here. Sheehan only has 9 at-bats worth against Washington. They're 4 for 9 off him with 2 home runs, though. 1 strikeout, no walks. They have actually hit him in a very limited sample size. Mikolas against the Dodgers, not good stats at all. In a big sample size, 110 at-bats, 336 batting average, 1,011 OPS, 21-5 strikeout walk ratio. The low walk number is really the only good thing that he has going for him there. Dodgers should win this game, but it's a matter of the price. Like I said, the money is coming in on Washington in the money line market here. I'm not interested in it at all. I think the Dodgers should win. If you wanted to do anything with it, Dodgers over their team total maybe makes sense. You know you're going to get 9 innings of at-bats out of them. They're facing just bad Washington pitching throughout this game. Sheehan, more of a question mark. That would allow you to take him out of the equation completely. So that's probably what I would do if I was going to do anything with that game at all. St. Louis at Detroit, reminding me of that World Series matchup from back when I was in college or whatever. Weird matchup, actually. These interleague games, dispersed throughout the season now. St. Louis just beat the Mets 2 games in a row, so they could be in a little bit of a letdown spot off of that. Not that they're really going to overlook Detroit, but, coming off beating the Mets is a pretty satisfying thing. Detroit is coming off getting swept by Arizona, and they've lost 4 games in a row. Obviously, I don't think Detroit is as bad as they look right now. They are having their home opener here today, as many teams are, which might motivate them a little bit, although they are returning home from being out on the Pacific Coast and then in Arizona. So I don't love that, really, the fact they're returning home from a road trip and haven't been home for a while, because that could give you a bit of a distraction there. Although I don't think Detroit is going to really overlook anybody right now with how many losses they've taken in a row. But looking at the starting pitching matchup, Michael McGreevy is pitching for St. Louis. He did well in his opener. He actually no-hit Tampa Bay for 6 innings. He's really hard to figure out, man. He looks really good in some cases, and he looks really bad in other cases. So I still don't really know what to do with him. Going up against Detroit, they've never seen him before, so that should give him a little bit of an extra edge. When pitchers are decent pitchers who haven't been seen before by the opposing lineups, they usually have a little bit of an advantage. Framber Valdez pitching for the Tigers. He's new to the Tigers this year. He had a good first start as well at San Diego, pitcher-friendly park, but solid start. Went 6 innings, 1 earned run allowed, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. He does not have great numbers against the Cardinals, though, in 24 at-bats. Not a big sample size. 5.1 strikeout-walk ratio is fine, but he's been hit pretty hard by them. 292 batting average, 778 OPS against them. Given that they've returned home from the road trip and whatever, I do kind of have a slight lean towards St. Louis in this one, man. Detroit's up to minus 168 here. You could get St. Louis on a run line, maybe. Split run line, money line, something like that. 88% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Detroit here. They're going to be a very public side. Like, people will expect them to bounce back now that they're back at home, and I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen. I think given the starting pitching matchup, like the specific matchup numbers, you might tilt the scales towards McGreevy just a little bit, even though in general I think Valdez is the better pitcher, but maybe not in this specific matchup. Bullpen-wise, hitting-wise, yeah, you might have to give Detroit the edge in those departments, though, so that makes it a little bit difficult. First 5 innings is a potential play as well, because like if Detroit's going to get hit by that, return home bug, it might happen earlier in the game, more so than later, and then you are really focused on just the starting pitching matchup where maybe the most value is on St. Louis. So St. Louis first 5 actually might be the preferred approach there for me. But obviously, I don't want to touch that game. Rio, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Miami at the Yankees. Both teams are 5-1. I would not be misled by Miami's record, though. We all know the Yankees are the better team here. Yankees are still the better offense. There might be an argument that Miami has the better bullpen here. We still don't really know how improved the Yankees' bullpen will be from last year's disastrous bullpen season. Although I think the Yankees did have some metrics that would indicate that their bullpen shouldn't have been as bad as it was last year. Like, they gave up a lot of hits with runners in scoring position and whatever. They look better this year so far. Starting pitching, probably I do prefer Miami's starter in this one. As far as the situation, of course, all the teams I've talked about didn't play yesterday, so we have rested bullpens in all these cases for what that's worth. Miami, they've had the easiest schedule in the league so far, man. They beat Colorado and the White Sox at home. So, again, don't buy into their record too much here. Yankees are having their home opener here, but they are returning home from the Pacific Coast. So, having to travel cross-country, come back home, that could be a little bit of a distraction. So that is something to keep in mind there. Yuri Perez pitching for Miami. I think you could make the argument he is their best starter. He had a really nice start in his opener. Granted, it was against the Rockies, who suck. But he went a solid 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 earned runs allowed. He did well in that outing. And up against the Yankees, he actually does have pretty good numbers as well. 21 at-bats, small sample size. 143 average allowed is very low. They haven't been able to hit him well. 546 OPS, 5-5 strikeout walk ratio. The walks are really kind of the only issue there, which is kind of the case with Perez. He throws hard and he gets a little bit wild sometimes. Will Warren pitching for the Yankees. He was better at home significantly than on the road last year, so pitching at home might be better for him. Although looking at his 2 ERA this season so far is kind of misleading because he actually didn't pitch that well. Of course, that was on the road, though, against the Giants. Pitcher-friendly park, Giants, not the greatest offense, but he didn't make it 5 innings in the game. He put too many guys on base. 2 walks, 5 hits, and 4 1/3. That's bad. He somehow escaped with only 1 earned run allowed, but he easily could have allowed more than that. 3 strikeouts as well. Will Warren, I don't think he's as horrible as maybe he looked last year. I don't think he's great either, but at home is kind of where he's more of a play-on pitcher, and the Marlins have actually never faced him before, so he might have a little bit of an extra edge there because he is where he pitches better, and he is pitching against a team that's never faced it before. So, and with rested bullpens here as well that actually have been pitching well to start the season, I like the under in this game. It's gone down from 8.5 to 8 already, but you're in no man's land, kind of. There's no key number there, so under 8 makes sense to me in this one. 75% of tickets on the over, 61% of the cash on the over, so the money is agreeing with that. This one was closer to making my card, dude, even though I know the Yankees, they do play in a hitter-friendly ballpark, but it's still early in the season. It's still a little bit on the cooler side up here, I believe. Whoops. I wanted to look at this Yankee game here. Oh, I brought it up in the wrong window, but whatever. It's 59 degrees game time for the Yankees there and cloudy, so that might keep the balls in the park as well. Maybe no long balls there in that game. Who knows?
I would definitely recommend switching to a style of underwear with no fly.
No fly zone? Is that what you're telling me?
It. No fly zone. That's a popular brand.
I'm not wearing that underwear. Okay?
You got to do it, man. You got long balls, Larry. Long balls. You got long-ass balls.
I've got long balls?
Doctor, you seen his balls, right?
Would you say my balls are unusually long?
They're a bit more distended than the average testicles.
You got long-ass balls, Larry. Long ball Larry. That's your new name.
I've got long balls. Who the hell knew?
Long balls. Change the draws.
Okay, fine.
All right. There's a new drop right there. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. You're going to opening day. I will not be in attendance there. I got, some birthday festivities going on and stuff like that here. Enjoy that game. Hopefully the Red Sox actually win. Oh, and it just so happens good timing because that's the next game here. Red Sox against San Diego. This is an interesting game, actually. San Diego, of course, does have to travel cross-country for this. It will be the Red Sox home opener, so they might get up for it. Red Sox are not as bad as their 1-5 record makes them look. They had some close losses. They played every game on the road so far. They faced two mediocre teams, so the Red Sox were not facing the easiest opponents really either, although they should have a better record than this. But again, I think they're better than the record would indicate, and there's no way their offense can continue to be as bad as it has been. San Diego, I don't think they're as bad as their record looks either, though, right now. Red Sox are traveling back, though. They're returning home from a road trip, I should say, from Cincinnati, Houston. So a lot of times you do want to fade teams returning home from road trips. But again, I dial that back a little bit when it's the team's home opener because I do think they get up for it. There's a lot of hype surrounding it, especially with like Yankees, Red Sox, teams like that. Michael King will be pitching here. Well, first of all, both bullpens are rested here. I think San Diego does have the better of the two bullpens here, even though it hasn't really looked like it so far. But I'm still kind of going based off of last year, even though, again, I do have the stats up here. But I still don't know what we really want to read into this, Red Sox bullpen hasn't been very good either so far, but you could make the argument both these bullpens are better than they appear so far. Michael King pitching for the Padres here. He was not good on the road last year. That is one thing I will point out. He pitched way better in San Diego's pitcher-friendly park last year. And in fact, his ERA was almost 3 runs higher on the road last year. 5.33 road ERA. But it was a pretty small sample size. He was hurt for a while. But still, he wasn't good on the road. His first outing this year looks pretty good. He gave up 1 hit in 5 innings against Detroit, but he walked too many guys. He walked 4 guys. So he kind of got lucky, allowing no earned runs in that outing there. Again, that's kind of what he does. Sometimes he has too many walks, but he is pretty unhittable. Against the Red Sox, his numbers are mediocre in 44 at-bats. Pretty solid 14-2 strikeout walk ratio, but he's allowed a lot of hard hits. 250 batting average, 714 OPS against them. So the Red Sox have been able to hit him okay. Red Sox are going with Sonny Gray, who is new to the Red Sox this year. He's got to bounce back from that first outing where he wasn't as bad as it kind of appears. He had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk in 4 innings. So if you go by strikeout walk ratio, and I do factor that in pretty heavily, he was actually better than King, was in their openers. He had that one really bad play where he completely mishandled the ball, where he should have just thrown it to the catcher to get the guy out at home. I don't know what that was. I think he should be in line for a bit more of a bounce back here. Gray against San Diego, though, does not have good numbers, so that is a concern. 137 at-bats, 38-8 strikeout walk ratio. Gray usually has good command, man. He usually does have very few walks and a decent amount of strikeouts, but he gets hard hit a lot, and that seems to be the case here. 314 batting average allowed to them, 906 OPS. So those numbers are definitely concerning. If you're looking for player props, which I don't usually talk about, Manny Machado has absolutely wrecked him. 12 for 35 with 3 home runs and a couple of doubles, 2 walks. So I recommend hits plus runs plus RBIs because that way if your guy walks, he can potentially get you an RBI if it's on a bases loaded walk, and he can still come around to score, so you're not completely dead with that at bat. So that's the way that I look at things. So, player prop rise Machado over hits plus runs plus RBIs maybe makes sense there. Hey, I got it right with Judge in the second game of the season, all right? So not really a props guy, though. But, yeah, what do we want to do with this game? I don't know, man. I mean, this is a stay away completely from me. Money is sort of indicating on the Red Sox. They dropped from minus 135 to minus 119. Again, I do think they're better than their record makes it look so far. Odds makers are basically telling you this is a toss-up. Maybe there is some value with the Red Sox money line right now, basically being below home field advantage at this point, because I think home field probably is about 20 cents in baseball. 58% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the Red Sox. I'll just hope, and root for the Red Sox here, but that's all I can really say. Money also seems to be indicating on the under in this game for what it's worth. I see some arguments for it because basically both starting pitchers are usually good, and, you have rested bullpens, but both starting pitchers definitely have their question marks. You know what I mean? Again, King was really bad on the road. Gray doesn't appear to be very good against San Diego. So those are definitely concerns with that. So I'm not touching the game at all. Toronto at White Sox. White Sox, these teams were actually supposed to play yesterday. And the game was rained out. Or so, I don't know. It was postponed early. It must have been a rain out. I mean, this is in Chicago, so I presume it was a rain out. Because it wouldn't have been if it was in Toronto because they have a roof. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, wait, what? White Sox home opener here. They're returning home from a road trip. You could make the argument they're going to be distracted by the return home, but probably not because, White Sox only have one win on the season. They're playing a team that's projected to be a playoff team again in Toronto, the team that won the AL last year. You're not going to overlook Toronto. Toronto coming into this off a decent 4-2 start to the season, but they did lose their last game and their last series to the Rockies, which is pretty ridiculous. So they might actually be focused for this game after losing to the Rockies. They do not want that to happen again against the White Sox. So Toronto may show up for this one. Again, we have rested bullpens here. I think you're going to give the bullpen edge to Toronto in this one. Dylan Cease is pitching for Toronto. He may have some newfound stuff. Who knows? Now that he's coming out with long hair and a huge mustache, it looks like he's been hanging out in the 1880s Wild West for a while now. So maybe he's better. I don't know. He's been all over the place throughout his career, man. Wasn't good last year, was quite good the year before that. I still don't know what, I don't know how to handicap Cease at this point. He had an interesting start against the A's in his first start where he had a ton of strikeouts, 12 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. 2 walks, only gave up 1 earned run, was pretty unhittable, 3 hits allowed. The thing about Cease is, he gets impressive amounts of strikeouts, but he's inefficient. He doesn't go that deep into games most of the time because he's wild, walks guys, gets a lot of strikeouts. He throws too many pitches. In this case, he threw 90 pitches, so they had to take him out around that time, especially because it was his first start of the season. And they wound up almost losing that game still. But Cease, he was pretty good for the most part. The strikeouts were really impressive. His numbers against the White Sox are very Cease-like. 48 at-bats, 15 strikeouts is a ton, but 7 walks is also very high. 188 batting average allowed, 624 OPS. So the OPS is a lot higher than the average would suggest that it would be. Because, again, he's allowed some hard hits here, a couple of home runs here. So I guess you could make the argument that Cease is kind of predictable, where he's going to get a lot of strikeouts, walk too many guys, throw a lot of pitches, and usually not get hit that hard. Usually he doesn't give up that many hits, but some of the contact that does get made against him is hard. He's going up against Grant Taylor, which I don't know what we're going to get out of him, man. He's been in the bullpen. But he's a young guy, 23 years old, so I think they are trying to make him a starter. It looks like he's already made 2 bullpen appearances this year, maybe to kind of warm him up a little bit. He hasn't pitched since the 29th of March. So it seems like what they did is they got him warmed up a little bit and then said, okay, we're going to put you on a starting, in the starting rotation now, put you on the starter's rest now. So it's really unclear how many innings you're going to get out of him in this game. Toronto actually has faced him a little bit in 7 at-bats, 3 strikeouts, no walks, only 1 hit, a single from George Springer, 143 batting average allowed, 286 OPS. So, Taylor, the fact that he's fairly unknown, he might have a little bit of an advantage here. It's a weird game, dude. Very weird game. Money coming in on the under, and I kind of agree with the under here. The total opened at 9.5, and it's all the way down to 7.5. I think the books must have taken it off the board and just put it back out at a lower number. I think probably because the White Sox probably switched their starting pitcher, I would imagine, is what happened here. And that caused the number to come out way lower than it was otherwise. 64% of tickets on the over, 73% of the cash on the under. I don't really disagree with the under here. I mean, you got to deal with the bullpens, especially the White Sox bullpen here, though. First 5 inning under might make more sense because you might get Taylor for the majority of that at least. And that's what you're kind of going for if you do that. But you have to go probably under 3.5, which gets a little bit dicey if you want to do that, as I always say. So I don't love it, but that is kind of the way that I see that game. As far as the side, I don't think there's any way you can lay minus 200 on the road with Toronto here. 97% of tickets, 98% of the cash on them. I don't really see a way that there's any value in playing the Toronto side here, even though I did say they should be motivated after losing to the White Sox. So, I still don't really love it, though, because you just don't really know what their offense is going to get done in this game. So I do still think some sort of under is probably the way to look at that game. But again, I don't love it at all. Reds at Rangers here. This game, again, neither team played yesterday. The Reds coming off losing to the Pirates at home. Not a great series for them. Might serve them well to just go out on the road, focus on some baseball. Texas, this is their home opener. They started the season at Philly and at Baltimore. Played well, won both series. Texas's pitching has been holding up still so far. Texas, again, return home spot, could be a little bit distracted, but then again, home opener, they could be up for the game. I'm going to give Texas a bullpen edge in this one. I do think they have the better bullpen, kind of continuing from last year. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. He's decent. I mean, his numbers don't look good, but he was okay in his first start against the Red Sox. Only went 4 innings. Again, these first starts, you really don't want to weigh them that much. He gave up 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. They took him out after 74 pitches. Like, a lot of these teams are trying to make sure their pitchers don't get overworked. Singer against Texas has been pretty good in 52 at-bats, 19-5 strikeout walk ratio, 173 batting average allowed, 573 OPS. So, yeah, Singer, good numbers against the Rangers for sure. He's going up against Mackenzie Gore, and Gore, he was struggling with Washington. Now that he's on a better team, Texas seems to have the best pitching coaching in Major League Baseball because this team seems like they can take any pitcher who's struggling and make it better. Like Patrick Corbin actually wasn't that bad with them. Mackenzie Gore actually is a talented pitcher with good strikeout stuff, and maybe Texas, with their pitching coaching, maybe they're actually going to make him good. They're gonna make Gore great again, man. Muga. He pitched decent against Philadelphia, although again he threw too many pitches, which is kind of what Gore does. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He does walk too many guys, and that's exactly what he did in that game. He went 5 1/3, only 2 earned runs allowed against a very potent Philadelphia lineup on the road. That's not bad. 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. Had to take him out. He threw 90 pitches, but overall Gore, that's a decent sign for him, at least. It was a pretty good start from him. Going up against Baltimore, or no, not against Baltimore. Who are we playing here? I already forget. Rangers against Reds? Yeah, Cincinnati Reds. Against the Reds, he actually has pretty bad numbers against them. 35 at-bats, 14-7 strikeout walk ratio. So again, a ton of strikeouts, but a ton of walks. .314 batting average allowed. That's kind of un-Gore-like. He usually doesn't allow that many hits. .943 OPS allowed. So he has gotten hit pretty hard by the Reds. So I don't really want to jump in here on Gore here. Texas is up to -167, which seems kind of insane. 83% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on Texas. So they're getting some of the money here. I think that line is too high, dude. I'd probably lean slightly towards Cincinnati in the first 5 innings here because I do think the Texas bullpen will have a bit of an advantage here. Starting pitching-wise, looking at the matchup, I actually think Singer might have kind of a hidden edge there. So that's kind of the way that I lean. First 5 inning only towards the Reds there. But again, I really don't like these games here, like any of the games that I've talked about. Cubs at Cleveland, again, teams that didn't play yesterday. We haven't gotten to any of the teams that did play yesterday yet. This game's going to be on MLB Unlimited, ESPN, whatever the hell. So, this game is streamable if you have that service. Cubs starting a road trip coming in from playing against Anaheim. They did win the series against Anaheim. Cubs have been mediocre so far to start the season. I still think they're good, though. Going out on the road, they might be focused to start the road trip. Cleveland is returning from the Pacific Coast and returning off of beating the Dodgers in a series on the road. That's pretty crazy, dude. So even though they're facing a decent Cub team here, they might be in a bit of a letdown spot, plus the return home spot from a different time zone on top of it. That doesn't look like a good spot to me for Cleveland, man. And I don't think Cleveland is really the best team in the AL Central. They've been good so far. Their bullpen is actually fairly good, though. Possibly they have the better bullpen here, although I don't think the Cubs bullpen is that bad either. Still kind of remains to be seen. Cubs definitely have the better hitting in this matchup, and I kind of like the Cubs pitching better too. Again, both bullpens are rested here. Cade Horton pitching for the Cubs. We did have a play on the Cubs on my show in his first outing. He did well against Washington. He went 6 1/3. He was very efficient. He only threw 75 pitches, gave up 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. Got the win. Good outing from him, man. Now he's going up against a pretty weak Cleveland lineup here. Cleveland's only 4 for 15 off him lifetime with no extra base hits, only 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 267 average, 579 OPS. Horton has done well against them. Going up against Joey Cantillo for Cleveland. He's a decent pitcher as well. Wasn't great in his first start, though, at Seattle, which is a pitcher-friendly park, too. He was very inefficient with his pitches there. Threw 91 pitches and didn't make it through the 4th inning. That's not a good sign. Had 3 walks, did have 5 strikeouts, which is good. Allowed a couple of runs, so he wasn't terrific there. I do think he's not bad, though, but I prefer Horton here. Against the Cubs, Cantillo only has 13 at-bats against him, so they're not too familiar with him, but he's done pretty well. 154 batting average, 481 OPS, 4.2 strikeout walk ratio. So I'm going to lean towards the Cubs slightly in this one. They're -112 on the money line, 76% of tickets, 80% of the cash on them. It looks like they're getting some of the money, even though they are a bit public. I do also kind of lean under in this one, man. I think you have decent bullpens. The bullpens are rested. I think both starters are actually at least decent in this one, so under kind of makes sense to me in this one too. You're looking at a low total of 7.5, though, because the total did already drop quite a bit, but you still do get that key number of 7 with the hook there. So, and it's key, as I always say, because teams, you have to have a run to break a 3-3 tie. Tampa Bay at Minnesota is going to be the first game with a rest disparity because Minnesota was finishing their series against the Royals yesterday, and Minnesota got the win yesterday. Good outing from Taj Bradley yesterday. He does well against the Royals. And, of course, the one game I gave out an under in that series was the one game that had 1 million runs scored, and the other 2 games both went under. Royals, I still think the wall being moved in is overblown, but we'll see. But Minnesota played yesterday, so they're at a rest disadvantage. They used some amount of relief pitchers here. Let me see. They used 4 relief pitchers, and I don't think their bullpen is that good either. So Minnesota does have some disadvantages here. It is actually their home opener, so maybe they'll get up for it for that reason. But they are returning home from a road trip, so could be a bit of a distraction. Tampa Bay coming off losing a series to the Brewers. The Brewers, we know they're a decent team. They're hitting well. I thought they'd take a little bit of a step back this year, but we'll actually, we'll see if that really happens. Tampa Bay only coming in from Milwaukee, though, to Minnesota. That's not a huge travel leg there. So Tampa Bay is going to be one of the only teams that hasn't played a home game yet. Maybe because they're waiting for their field to actually be ready with the repaired roof at Tropicana, where Tampa Bay will be back there this year. So Tampa Bay, I think they have the better bullpen anyway, and their bullpen is rested compared to Minnesota's not being rested. So that is a pretty big edge for Tampa here. I think you could make the argument that Tampa has the better offense here too, because I don't like Minnesota's. I like Tampa Bay in this game, dude. I do, but I don't know if I could do it, man, with Joe Boyle. He pitched well in his first outing against the Cardinals. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, 75 pitches, pretty efficient. Looking at his overall stats throughout his young career so far, though, doesn't really impress me. 4.88 career ERA, 1.39 whip, and a very bad strikeout walk ratio of 1.8. His walk rate is really high, so that worries me. His strikeout rate has actually been pretty solid. Maybe he'll be better because he is still young, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to trust him that much, although he is going up against Minnesota, who's not a good offense. He's done well against them in 12 at-bats, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 167 average allowed, 481 OPS. So Boyle, his matchup numbers are pretty good here. He's going up against Bailey Ober, who, I've liked Ober in the past, but his recent numbers just don't suggest that there's anything good going on here, man. He was okay in his first outing, kind of. I don't know. He gave up 3 earned runs to Baltimore. They took him out after 4 innings. His pitch count wasn't very high. I don't know. He had 1 strikeout, 1 walk. Usually Ober has good command at the very least. His numbers against Tampa Bay, 29 at-bats. He has done well against them. 8 strikeouts, no walks, 207 batting average allowed, 448 OPS. So he's pitched pretty well against Tampa Bay, and they're not that familiar with him. I do still like Tampa, though, because I think once it gets to the bullpen, you're going to have that edge. Tampa with that rest edge there. I do like that. So the number has flipped from Tampa being plus 104 to minus 106. 71% of tickets, 78% of the cash on Tampa. I agree with that money there on Tampa. Money kind of indicating on the under, and I don't really disagree with that either, but I worry about Minnesota's bullpen here, man, especially because they played yesterday. 86% of tickets, 55% of the cash on the over, total all the way down to 7.5. Under first 5 innings might make more sense here, but my preference would be to take Tampa and just hope that the rest advantage and the bullpen advantage that they have is going to carry them through there. So as long as the game is like at least very close with the, while the starters are still in there, hopefully Tampa will be able to get it done late in that one. So yeah, I think Tampa is the way to look at that game. William, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. What about the Mariners? I don't know what's going on with the Mariners, man. I wanted them to beat the Yankees. I can tell you that. All right, Philadelphia at Colorado. Colorado, they're returning home from a road trip. This is their first home game. Of course, Coors Field, we know that comes with hitting because they're in the high elevation there. Colorado hasn't played yet at home this year. I don't know how excited the atmosphere is going to be for Colorado's home opener because they've been so bad recently. They did just win a series against Toronto, like I said, which is bizarre. So maybe there could be actually a little bit of a letdown here. Although I don't think they're going to overlook Philadelphia because everybody knows Philadelphia is a strong team in the National League. Philadelphia, first road game of the season for them, and it's in Coors Field, which maybe not the greatest environment there, having to go play in elevation, even though the Rockies are not a good team. The Rockies at least have a little bit more of an edge when they're at home because teams just aren't really used to the elevation like Colorado is because they play there all the time. Bullpen-wise, yeah, both bullpens I don't think are that good. Philadelphia's got to have the better bullpen, though, and they definitely have the better offense. I think they have the better starter, too, with Aaron Nola pitching. We still have to kind of figure out, how good is he after he's coming back from all these surgeries. Didn't look good for a while last year, but then he did start pitching better towards the end of the year. He had an okay start against Texas to start this season. He had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, which is pretty good. He allowed 3 earned runs, but part of it was because he allowed 2 long balls and walked a couple of guys. So he's got to kind of get that under control. He threw too many pitches, 91 pitches. Against Colorado, I'm going to assume he probably has good numbers, though. They're not as good as you would think, actually. I did look earlier today, and I just forgot. 47 at-bats, 21-1 strikeout walk ratio is insane, but he's allowed a 255 average. That's not horrible, but 803 OPS is a little bit high. But if you look at the numbers, it's almost entirely because Jake McCarthy does a ton of damage against him. I don't even know who that guy is, but he's 6 for 13 with 2 home runs off of Nola. So that one guy does all that damage to Nola, but for the most part, he does pretty well against Colorado. So my guess is that Nola will actually have a decent start here. Michael Lorenzen is pitching for the Rockies, and it's going to get interesting because he pitched for Kansas City last year, man. He was pitching for Texas for a while, so he was pitching in these pitcher-friendly parks. Now he goes to Colorado, and he's got to pitch at Coors Field. That might not be good. This is going to be his first start pitching there as a member of the home team at the very least. He's probably pitched there on the road before, but still, he's probably not that used to it. It's probably not that good for him here. He was mediocre in his first start against Miami. He only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up too many hits, 7 hits. He was definitely too hittable. Gave up 3 earned runs. He had 4 strikeouts, no walks. That's good. So his command was good, but he threw 93 pitches. I don't know how. Like, usually when you see a guy throw a lot of pitches, usually it's because they're walking a lot of guys. Wasn't the case with him, so I don't know, man. But he's definitely too hittable. Going up against Philadelphia, his numbers are not good against Philadelphia. And 57 at-bats, 18-10 strikeout walk ratio. That's pretty bad, although 7 of the walks are combined between Harper and Schwarber. 333 batting average, allowed 1,082 OPS. So, you know, Lorenzen, the numbers are not looking too good for him here. Philadelphia's a big favorite, which may be warranted really in this game here, minus 195. Nola, maybe you're going to get a discount on Nola for a little bit longer while, you know, he continues to be kind of a question mark. 86% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Philly. I think Philly does win this game. I mean, I think the way that I would probably look in this game is probably Philly over their team total. Then you take the Nola question mark completely out of the equation. You're banking on Lorenzen to not do well, having to shift to pitching in Coors Field where he's not used to pitching. Colorado's bullpen is not great either, even though they are rested here. But I would probably do that if I was going to do anything with that game. All right, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore, first road game for them here. They are 3-3 to start the season. They're coming off losing a series to Texas, so they won the final game. Pittsburgh just beat Cincinnati, and they're returning home from a road trip. Now, this will be their home opener, and I know people are excited about Pittsburgh this year. Skeens bounced back fine with a win, so people are going to be excited for the Pittsburgh home opener, so the crowd might be enough to overcome, returning home from a road trip here. They're only coming back from Cincinnati, which is a really short part of the trip there. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad of a spot for Pittsburgh here. Both bullpens are rested, again, because they didn't play yesterday. I don't think either bullpen is that great, though, really. I mean, this still remains to be seen. I mean, I'm basing that off last year for the most part still. Kyle Bradish is pitching for Baltimore. He pitched pretty well in his opener against Minnesota. Gave up 2 earned runs in 4 2/3. Problem was he had too many walks, though. He only gave up 2 hits, which is good, but 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. He's got to get that walk number under control a little bit. I think Bradish is an okay pitcher, though. Against Pittsburgh, whose offense, I know they're improved a little bit this year. I still don't think they're that good, though. Bradish has been okay against them in the past. 34 at-bats, 11-1 strikeout walk ratio is quite good. 265 average allowed, 697 OPS. Those are okay numbers for him against Pittsburgh. Nothing bad, nothing particularly great either. Mitch Keller pitching for Pittsburgh. I actually like Mitch Keller, dude. Like, I think he's better than people think he is. He just has no name recognition. Nobody really thinks about him because, the Pirates have Skeens and whatever, but Keller is under the radar. He's good. He had a good season opener against the Mets. He allowed 3 hits, no earned runs in 6 innings, and his bullpen let him down in that game. They lost in extra innings. 3 strikeouts, no walks. The hitting kind of let him down in that game too, really. So, for Keller, sometimes these Pirates pitchers, man, they'll pitch well and then they just won't get run support. It's kind of the issue. But, yeah, I think Keller's a decent pitcher. I think he's probably the better of these 2 starters here. Up against Baltimore here. He's done well against Baltimore. 50 at bats, 16-3 strikeout walk ratio, 140 average allowed, 345 OPS. So I actually, I like that. I like Keller. I actually like the Pittsburgh side in this game. The money is completely against that, with Baltimore being minus 120 on the road here. 57% of tickets are on Pittsburgh, I guess because of all that Pittsburgh hype this year. Now it's their home opener. But I think that's going to give them, a better environment to play in at the very least. 83% of the cash on Baltimore. I mean, the hype means, the bettors are going to be playing them, but the hype also means that the home opener, it's going to be a crazy environment probably. Yeah, I like Pittsburgh here as a home dog, man. Even though I'm not really, I'm not sold on Pittsburgh across the entire season here, but I kind of like them in this game. I wouldn't disagree with an under in this game either. Looks like it's just a heavy public percentage on the over, 92% on the over, 92% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on the over. Totals up to 8.5. It could hit 9. You might get under that key number 9 there. Under first 5 innings makes sense too because both starting pitchers are probably more trustworthy than the bullpens there. But yeah, I prefer Keller in that one. I think I prefer the Pittsburgh side there, even though it's going completely against the market there. Milwaukee at Kansas City. Shout out to Zach. I don't know if he's out there. Milwaukee, good start to the season, man. They're 5-1. They only played the White Sox in Tampa Bay, though, man. So I would dial it back a little bit with Milwaukee right now. Royals, we don't know who they are yet, I don't think. I mean, they're a mediocre team. They might be kind of battling to make the playoffs at the end of the season. Royals are staying at home here, but they played yesterday, so that's the issue. I think they used 3 relief pitchers in the game yesterday. I mean, their bullpen hasn't been that good to start the season, even though it was good last year. Yeah, so they used 3 relief pitchers, so the Royals are at a bit of a disadvantage because they played yesterday, but they are staying at home at the very least. But rest advantage for Milwaukee. Bullpens, I think, are at least kind of comparable here, so I think Milwaukee has a little bit of an edge there just because they are rested. They do have the way better offense. And starting pitching-wise, Chad Patrick is pitching for Milwaukee. Decent young pitcher. He was okay in his opener. It was only against the White Sox, but they didn't want to overwork him. They let him only go 74 pitches. He went 4 1/3, gave up 1 earned run, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. That was a decent outing from him. Against Kansas City, he's been mediocre, but it's a small sample size of 11 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Not a lot of strikeouts there, but 273 average allowed, 879 OPS is pretty high. It's because he's allowed 3 doubles to them. But overall, yeah, I think Patrick might do okay in this one. And again, we are looking at a Kansas City Kauffman Stadium that has their walls moved in this year to some extent. But again, 2 of the 3 games so far have gone under. And we're looking at another total that might be too high here. Now, Michael Wacha was supposed to start this game, but he's actually sick, so he's not going to pitch. So the Royals are bringing up Luinder Avila to make the start here. He is going to make his first major league start. He pitched last year for Kansas City all out of the bullpen, 13 appearances out of the bullpen. He was not bad. He had a 1.29 ERA, 0.93 whip, 16 strikeouts in 14 innings. Really, his only issue was walks. He had 6 walks, so he was a little bit out of control, but he did not allow many hits at all. So he's supposed to be pretty good, although it seems like his ceiling is kind of like an end-of-the-rotation type of starting pitcher here. Looking at batter versus pitching stats, I believe he has been seen before a little bit by Minnesota. We're looking at Milwaukee. I was going to say Minnesota. What? Milwaukee, only Rengifo has faced him before. And he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. So, yeah, Avila might actually have a little bit of an edge here, but we don't know how long he's going to go into this game. You know what I mean? And Kansas City used their bullpen yesterday. So that's kind of the issue with Kansas City here. Money is somewhat coming in towards Milwaukee, I guess. They flipped from plus 109 to minus 108, but they're a pretty public side. 83% of the tickets and cash on them. It's a similar spot for Tampa Bay, but I like Tampa Bay more than I like Milwaukee here. Minnesota is having to travel as well, which Kansas City is not. I might lean to Milwaukee slightly here across the full game because they do have that rest advantage here. Again, Kansas, an under makes sense to me in this game, at least in the first 5. Maybe you want to avoid Kansas City's bullpen in the remainder of the game. But the total is at 9, juice to the over. So, again, I think you're looking at a total that is skewed a little bit too high because of the walls being moved in, especially early in the season. But, again, it might be a situation where maybe we should wait and see because I got caught in the one game that went over so far, and it was not really what it looked like. The bullpens just both totally imploded in that game. I don't know what that was. But we have 83% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. I don't know if I buy those percentages, but yeah, whatever. And that game's on Apple TV. They have 2 games going on today. I know I haven't gotten to my play. I only have 1 play, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I realize that. I just don't love the board today, man. Seattle at Anaheim. Seattle coming off that loss to the Yankees. I mean, that was a tough series, and now having to travel, maybe not the greatest spot for Seattle coming off of some tough games. But, Seattle is good. They're supposed to win their division. We'll see. I mean, Anaheim is definitely not that good. This will be Anaheim's home opener, but they are returning from the central time zone here, returning home from a road trip. So you could argue it's a distracted spot, but I don't think they're going to overlook the team that won the division last year, the team that is supposed to win it again this year. But Seattle does have some advantages here. I mean, Seattle, I think, is really the better team across the board here. Better offense, better bullpen, better starting pitcher. So I don't see many advantages for Anaheim here. Brian Wu is pitching for Seattle. I guess the one thing you could say is Wu is not as good on the road as he is at home, but he is still a very good pitcher overall. He had a good start against Cleveland to open the season. That one was at home. 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 earned runs allowed, 4 hits allowed, only 83 pitches as well. So he was good in that start. He was efficient. Not a lot to dislike about that. Against Anaheim, though, he hasn't been quite as good. 80 at-bats against him. 24-3 strikeout walk ratio is good. 263 average, allowed 714 OPS. I mean, those are not awful numbers, but for Wu, they're a little bit on the worst side because usually Wu is very, very good. So Anaheim is one of the teams that he is a little bit less good against, let's say. Reed Detmers is pitching for Anaheim here. His first start was weird. It was interesting. He threw way too many pitches, 95 pitches in 4 2/3. Allowed 3 earned runs against a Houston team that was really lighting up the scoreboard so far to start the season. Detmers got hit around a little bit. He allowed 6 hits, but he also had 9 strikeouts and no walks. So he was blowing people away at the same time and not walking anybody. So kind of a crazy stat line there. I think Detmers is okay. Like, if you look at his overall career numbers, it's all very mediocre. He had a really good 2022, but other than that, he hasn't really been very good. He's been on Anaheim for his entire career, but overall, 4.78 ERA, 1.36 whip. Last year, he spent the entire season coming out of the bullpen last year. So now he's trying to make that conversion back to being a starter, at least to open the season. But again, it looks like he's doing okay at that. Against Seattle. Let me see. Against Seattle, he has not been good at all, though. An 80 at-bats, 18-11 strikeout walk ratio. That's very bad. 338 batting average, allowed 968 OPS, 4 home runs from 4 different batters. One of them, of course, being the big dumper, who has not been very good to start the season, but he's going to turn it around. Detmers has really bad matchup numbers there. I think Seattle is the right side there. I just don't see any real advantage that Anaheim has here. except that maybe they'll get motivated because it's their home opener. Seattle minus 155 here. 85% of tickets, 88% of the cash on Seattle. They're a public side, Seattle is, but I think they will win this game. I mean, if you wanted to go Seattle money line on this, I know you're having to pay a bit of a price for it. I mean, you might be able to knock it down if you want to do like a -1 run line or make your own run line there or something like that. But yeah, I do think Seattle does get the win there. Atlanta at Arizona. These teams played yesterday, and it was total insanity. I told you Ryan Nelson's no good, man. How bad was he in that game? Yeah, he wasn't good, but the bullpen was even worse. Dude, Arizona's bullpen is probably the worst in baseball. They don't even have a left-handed pitcher in their entire bullpen. When have you ever heard of anything like that before? Like, it's like Arizona's intentionally throwing the season. Atlanta beat them 17-2 last night. I gave it a lean on Atlanta on my show yesterday. And, of course, the one play I actually gave out was a total loser. But my leans in this game and the Mets-Giants game both were correct. Because, of course, it was Ryan Nelson and David Peterson pitching for those two teams. So I was like, yeah, fade both of those guys. You know I don't like either of those guys. But Atlanta, ridiculous, man. 17-2 win. So you would think that means Arizona should bounce back here because that game was so putrid for Arizona. They should do better this time, right? Well, I'm not so sure about that because Arizona still has their train wreck of a bullpen. Atlanta only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona used 3, so Arizona's still at a major bullpen disadvantage here. I think Arizona does have the better offense, so I'll give them that. I think Atlanta is going to have the better starter in this game as well. Josh, what's up, man? No, I do not find that funny. Do not laugh at that. No, I fucking hate that because... yeah, I mean, it means I'm doing my job, like reading these games, and then I weigh them incorrectly, and I pick the wrong ones. I'm not happy about that at all. I need to get back on track. I was extremely hot to end the year. I was hot really through, like, the end of the football season. We're going to get hot again. May is typically really, really good for me. NBA playoffs, I absolutely demolish the NBA playoffs typically, and I'm usually doing well in baseball around that time, too, once the season really is kind of underway, and then we're kind of off to the races with baseball. Baseball last year wasn't that good, but, dude, we got to bounce back. It wasn't a good March, but it was better than last year's March was the worst month that I've ever had, probably. This year, that was better. At least I think I broke even in March Madness, so, although we're not done with March Madness yet, but yeah, I'm one with the one play I gave out in the NIT. But yeah, I don't know, man. This game, Grant Holmes is pitching for Atlanta. He's the better starter here, I think. He was okay in his first start against Kansas City. 5 innings pitched. He only threw 76 pitches, 3 earned runs allowed, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. The thing about Holmes is he pitches better at home. He was really bad on the road last year if you look at his splits, and that's where he is here. At home, he had a 2.93 ERA last year, and on the road, 5.51. So you want to fade him when he's on the road, man. And this is a hitter-friendly ballpark against a good offense, so Holmes may not do well in this one. Diamondbacks have not hit him well, though. 32 at-bats, 219 batting average allowed, 574 OPS. So he's done well against them, except he's walked too many guys. 6 strikeouts, 5 walks. But I still don't really trust Holmes in the spot on the road, and I don't trust any of Arizona's pitching, including Erod, who has never really been that good since he's come back from Tommy John surgery, although he actually did really well in his first start against the Dodgers. Go figure. And they still lost that game, but it was not his fault. On the road, he went 5 innings, gave up no earned runs, 1 unearned run, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks on 4 hits, only threw 79 pitches. But the thing is, I just don't expect that much from him, man. He's coming off a really good performance where he got sky high for it probably. Now he's going to have to try to replicate that some way. I don't think it's going to happen. Going up against the Braves, his numbers are not great. In 46 at-bats, 13-6 strikeout walk ratio, 261 average allowed, 759 OPS. Not horrible numbers, but not good. So I do still kind of lean to Atlanta in this one, even though I know they won in a massive blowout last night. 53% of tickets, 71% of the cash on Atlanta. They're at minus 111 here. I think my preference, though, would probably be to go over. And I know last night's game went way over the total. I get that. But so the public is probably also going to play the over in this game if they play it. But the public is not always wrong, man. And when you have an over like that, a lot of times it kind of means the bullpen gets kind of torched, which wasn't really the case for either of these teams really yesterday. But still, I just don't like the pitching, man. I don't like Holmes on the road. I don't like any of Arizona's pitching at all. Over makes sense to me in this one. The total is at 9. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark, too. 82% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over. That game is also on Apple TV, but I don't want to deal with it. Houston at the A's. We get our first game of the season in the A's AAA stadium that they play in, which is a terrible stadium, and it's where pitchers go to die. It's almost more hitter-friendly than Coors Field in some ways. And Houston is going to be playing there. Houston, who has been one of the best offenses to start the season, coming off a sweep of the Red Sox. They've won 5 games in a row. Having to go on the road now, though. All those wins were at home. So, going out to the Pacific Coast, maybe not the greatest spot for Houston here. The A's are having their home opener, but how crazy is that atmosphere going to be in a AAA stadium that doesn't really seat anybody? The A's have basically no home advantage. And I think last year they were actually worse at home than even on the road. Like, their pitchers all sucked ass at home, and a lot of them were better on the road. They have no home advantage, man. They might have a home disadvantage. But it is their first home game, but they're traveling back from the East Coast for this, so that's not easy to do. Although I don't think they're going to overlook Houston, who is usually one of the best teams in this division, and they're atop the division right now. As far as the bullpens, I think you do have to give Houston a bullpen edge, even though I think their closer, Josh Hader, I think is his name. I think he's injured right now. But the A's bullpen, I don't think there's really much to like in there. Both offenses are actually pretty solid. I think the A's, even though they've been slumping to start the season, Nick Kurtz is going to break out of his slump, man. I think the A's, they're pretty good offensively, in my opinion. So things kind of shaping up for this to maybe be a high-scoring game. Christian Javier is pitching for the Astros. He wasn't good in his opener against Anaheim at home. He gave up 6 earned runs. They still won the game because there were so many runs scored behind him. He was bad, though. 4 walks, 1 strikeout. That was all atrocious. That wasn't the game I gave out Houston as a player, right? It couldn't have been. But yeah, I don't know. Bad start for Javier, though. Against the A's, his numbers are actually good, though. In 34 at-bats, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, 147 average allowed, 452 OPS. Good numbers for him against the A's. Jeffrey Springs pitching for the A's. He's been not their worst pitcher. He's been okay. He also had too many walks in his opener against Toronto. Toronto's a good offense, though. He did hold them to 2 earned runs on the road in 5 1/3. That wasn't too bad. They lost in extra innings in that game. 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. That wasn't great, though. Springs against Houston, good numbers, actually. In 37 at-bats, 5.4 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good, but no extra base hits. 162 average allowed, 406 OPS allowed. The matchup numbers actually look good for both starting pitchers here, so that kind of counters what I was just saying, where I looked at this game and I was thinking over kind of all the way, but based on the starting pitching, I could see the argument for the under in the first 5 innings in this game, man. The total's at 10 for the full game, but I wouldn't want to deal with the bullpens. But if you look at the starting pitching matchup, and it looks not that horrible, under first 5 innings might make sense here. 88% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the over. There is a huge market disparity in the side, though, with the public being on the A's. I don't see how that's even possible. They flipped from plus 107 to minus 105. I don't know if it's, the home opener hype. I don't get it. 56% of the tickets on the A's. Doesn't make any sense to me. 78% of the cash on Houston. I mean, I don't disagree with Houston here. I don't know. I don't trust the A's. at home. But, I don't have a good read. I really don't have a good read on that game at all. That game messes with my mind so much because there are just so many ways to look at it. There's no way that game, makes my card. That's one of the most difficult games to figure out that I've seen. You're in a slump. All right, yeah, make some of that back. Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. The A's, and they're not even called the Sacramento A's, and they're going to be there for 3 years. Like, you would think they should just be called the Vegas A's and just have a temporary stadium in Vegas at the very least. Like, why not? Vegas has other stadiums they could use, right? Like, they could use like a college stadium, in Vegas or whatever, or they could use there are AAA stadiums there too. Like the Dodgers, their AAA affiliate is in Vegas, right? The Area 51s or whatever they're called, the 51ers, the aliens. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I do have a play in this last game. You guys already know what it is. It's my only play of the day, and then I'm going to talk about the two pretty putrid NHL games today and the NBA board, which I absolutely despise as well. So I will be back in a second. I'm sure you guys know what my play is going to be in this last game already, though. I pretty much already said what it is. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. All right. Yes, this last game, let's do it. Where am I at here? Yes. All right, we're going to go under, as you know, in Mets, Giants, under 7.5. It's at reduced juice right now. Maybe I should be a little bit worried that it looks like the money's disagreeing with me here. It's going up even further. 55% of the tickets, 68% of the cash on the over. I don't love seeing that, but I like the starting pitching matchup here. I know both these teams played last night. San Francisco won 7-2. I get all that. I was correct about San Francisco last night, too, for what it's worth. San Francisco only used 2 relief pitchers, and this is where I'm going to start looking at this. Like, San Francisco, I don't think their bullpen is bad, although I get it. They haven't been good to start the season. Where are they at here? Actually, bullpen whip-wise, they're 5th. So actually, maybe I'm wrong about that. Their ERA is not that bad either. So, I don't know. They were a really good bullpen last year. It's a pitcher-friendly park. Their bullpen's decently rested, although Buto is injured. But not the assassinated leader of Pakistan. But yes. And then we have the Mets here. I think the Mets bullpen is okay as well. They used Sean Manaea as the only guy that came out of the bullpen last night. He was in their starting rotation, the last couple seasons, whatever. So they used him as an innings eater. So they saved all of their high leverage relief arms here, which is good. And I like the starting pitching, of course. The Mets do have a good offense. They are the better offense here. But I like the starting pitching. And the bullpen's enough to overcome all the offense. Nolan McLean is pitching for the Mets. I still think he's under the radar, man. He made his debut, I think, last season. He was a bit up and down. Started pretty well this season. He went 5 innings against Pittsburgh at home, allowed 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, and did all that on not that many pitches, really, 84 pitches. So I'm happy about that. I think he's actually pretty solid. And I think he's going to be solid again here against the Giants, who basically have never faced him before. Yeah, Bader has faced him before because Bader was on Philly last year, and he did hit him pretty well, 3 for 6. All singles, though, with 1 strikeout. And with the rest of the Giants lineup having never seen him before, I always talk about it. A pitcher has an edge against hitters that have never faced him before. So I think McLean has a little bit of an extra edge early in that one. Going up against Tyler Mahle, who I think is the lesser of the 2 pitchers here, but I don't think he's bad. In his first start, his numbers don't look that great after that start, right? 4 innings, 5 hits allowed. But he had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, and only gave up 2 earned runs against the Yankees. That's not that bad, dude. Yankees, they're one of the most potent offenses in baseball. So that's not a bad outing from him. And if you look at what he did, he really had a resurgence last year with Texas. Although we know Texas, they basically fix all their pitchers somehow. He was really good there. But San Francisco, they do a decent job with their pitching as well. And over the course of his career, he's been a decent pitcher with an almost 3 strikeout walk ratio, which I like. I wish it was a little bit higher than that, but that's still not that bad. More strikeouts than innings pitched. His whip is a little bit high for my liking. Yeah, 1.29. ERA above 4, but I still think it's good enough in this matchup here. And his numbers are pretty good against the Mets at 35 at-bats, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks. That's a lot of strikeouts. 200 batting average, allowed a 663 OPS. And really, all the damage has come from Juan Soto with 2 home runs off him. Other than that, this Mets lineup has not done a whole lot of damage against him. So I like it. We're going under in this game, and that is my only play today. I know me with all my unders. I know. I do play overs in baseball as well. This is just the way that I see it, man. And I don't really disagree with the Mets side again, even though I know they won easily last night. So you could argue, the zigzag, the other team will bounce back. But I think McLean is the better starter here. I think the Mets do have the better offense. 84% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the Mets. And I think the bullpens are somewhat comparable. So I don't really disagree with the money on the Mets side there either. All right. So that's that. NHL. We have 2 NHL games, which I said they're putrid. I don't know if they're really that putrid, but from a betting perspective, I don't like them. NHL Network, Philadelphia and the Islanders. I mean, yeah, these 2 teams are battling for playoff positioning or to even try to get into the playoffs. Philly is on the outside looking in here. Philly played yesterday, and they lost to the Red Wings. That was a game where I disagreed with the market, and I was correct in that game. I said I liked Detroit in that game. I believe I did, right? Philly, they're going on the road now. No days off. Only going to New York to play the Islanders in Queens or wherever they play now. Philly is not going to overlook them, but it's a matter of how tired are they going to be because they're playing a lot of games in quick succession here. In fact, they're playing a 5th game in 7 days, I believe is what this is. That's not easy to do with 3 of them being on the road. So the scheduling spot is not very helpful to them. The Islanders most likely will be in the playoffs. They're coming off a tough loss to Buffalo, but that was on Tuesday, so they've had a couple of days off. They're returning from Buffalo, but it was only a single game road trip, but they do have Carolina on deck, so you could make the argument this is a sandwich spot for the Islanders, and Philadelphia kind of needs the game more, and they're going to be an underdog here. And I like those teams that you pretty much know you're going to get an effort out of them, and they need the game more, and they're a dog. I do like that. I just don't like Philadelphia's complete lack of rest in this situation, Islanders are sitting at minus 141. Looks like it opened at minus 153. 74% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the Islanders. It's such a difficult read. I think a lot of that has to do with just the complete lack of rest, even though situationally I think it makes more sense to lean towards Philly here. I can't do it when they're in a 5th game in 7 days, man. I hate this game. I just can't figure it. I don't even want to give out an opinion on it because I could see arguments for both sides there. It's just awful. And then we have St. Louis at Anaheim. St. Louis, probably not going to make the playoffs, although I think they're not mathematically eliminated, so you might get some effort out of them. They're staying in California for this. They're only going up the road. They played in L.A. on Wednesday, took the loss there. they're not going to overlook Anaheim, who's a divisional leader right now, I think still. Anaheim hasn't been playing as well, though. They've lost 3 games in a row. But granted, one was towards the end of a road trip at Edmonton. One was a return home spot. And then they lost again going back out on the road to San Jose. And I think San Jose was just more loose in the game. San Jose is actually close to being in the playoff picture as well. Will Anaheim bounce back from that? I don't know, man. I mean, Anaheim is definitely better at home. I believe they're still hanging on to their division lead right now, but they're not really in danger of missing the playoffs, I don't believe. St. Louis is likely to not make the playoffs, but maybe that means St. Louis will play a little bit more loose here. Anaheim's at minus 140, 81% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Anaheim. I don't know, man. I kind of lean a little bit towards St. Louis in this one as the dog, but I don't have a good read on that either. Then we got NBA. Which won't even load for me here. Pre-game, I mean, their site, man, it's where JavaScript basically goes to die. I'm going to close some of these MLB tabs here. All right. We have like 9 NBA games here tonight. I don't know. Indiana at Charlotte. Of course, Charlotte is still fighting to get into the top 6 in the East or whatever. Indiana just playing out the stretch. They've won 2 games in a row. They blew out Chicago on Wednesday. Indiana might show up to try to kind of play spoiler here against Charlotte. I mean, they might not overlook Charlotte, although Indiana does have Cleveland next, which maybe they will consider that to be a bigger game. Charlotte is pretty hot right now, but Charlotte played last night, so they're on a back-to-back. They are staying at home for this, though, but nice win last night for them against Phoenix. They do have Minnesota, Celtics, Detroit, and the Knicks all on deck to finish the season. So all of the remaining games are bigger than this one. So I will slightly lean towards Indiana in this one. Still don't want it. The market seems like it does agree. The Hornets are up to a 16-point favorite. Oh, it's so ridiculous. 76% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on Charlotte. So the money is kind of indicating against them. I loosely agree with taking the points with Indiana, but I don't want it. Minnesota at Philadelphia. Minnesota had a tough game last night, and they lost. I thought they would at least cover against Detroit. They lost. So now they're on a back-to-back. Pretty difficult. Now I have to go to Philadelphia. Probably not the easiest spot for Minnesota here. Philadelphia might have a little bit more motivation, too. I mean, Minnesota probably pretty likely they're not. I mean, Minnesota will avoid the play-ins and stuff like that, I think. Philadelphia is still on the verge of being stuck in the play-ins, so they might have a little bit more motivation here. Problem with Philadelphia is they're returning home from a road trip, although it was only Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and they stayed in the Eastern time zone, so it's not as bad. But still, when teams return home from road trips, a lot of times they're distracted. They have to get back to home life, whatever. And I don't like the fact that Philadelphia put up 153 points in their last game against Washington, because usually when you see a team do that and they look too good, a lot of times you don't want to be on them in the next game. They do have Detroit on deck, which is a bigger game, I think. Although Minnesota, you don't really overlook Minnesota either. Philly, I believe they still have their full complement of starters back here. It looks like Embiid is a game-time decision in this one. I mean, he's ill this time. It's not his knee. I don't know. If he can go, he's probably going to go, but we'll see what happens with him. And then Anthony Edwards, you still got to monitor his situation. He didn't play in the Detroit game last night, so you got to see if he's going to be back or not for this game. This is a very difficult game to call. Philadelphia is minus 2.5, 70% of the tickets, only 54% of the cash on them. Money looks like it's indicating towards the T-Wolves. I don't really think I agree with that. On the back-to-back and everything, I don't know. I think I slightly lean towards Philadelphia in that one, but don't love it by any means. And the money is totally, indicating against it for now. Atlanta at Brooklyn. Atlanta, I mean, they've been a hot team, but they could be in a letdown spot potentially because they're coming up beating the Celtics, and then they beat Orlando, who is one of the teams battling with them for, playoff positioning and whatever right now. Orlando very likely is going to be stuck in the play-ins at this point. So maybe Atlanta has the letdown here, man, against a bad Brooklyn team, and then Atlanta finishes the season with the Knicks, Cleveland, and then Miami. all those games are bigger than this one. So this does look like the potential flat spot for Atlanta here. Is Brooklyn actually going to get up for this game? I don't know. I mean, Brooklyn just got smashed on Tuesday at home, losing by 31 points to Charlotte. Maybe they will have a bounce back. Like when you get absolutely annihilated like that and then you have a chance to, play against a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs or whatever, or Atlanta's at the very least going to be a play-in team. You get to play them, a team that's been one of the hottest teams in basketball. Coming off a horrible loss, maybe Brooklyn will actually get up for this. I will lean to the Nets plus the points here. Hawks are minus 16.5 on the road. Maybe the Hawks shouldn't be that much of a favorite on the road against anybody. 84% of the tickets, 78% of the cash on Atlanta. So the money is indicating towards the Nets. I agree generally with that. Embiid, he will always be a game-time decision. All right, what's next? Chicago at the Knicks. NBA TV has a doubleheader, I guess, here. Pretty ugly games here, man. I mean, the Knicks, at least, are going to be a playoff team, but other than that, these games are pretty hideous. Chicago coming off getting blown out by Indiana at home. That's a bad loss for Chicago, but I believe that was a lean for me on the show. Chicago was returning home from a road trip, so they were in a bad spot, and they had a look ahead potentially to the Knicks, and they had finished the road trip with San Antonio. So that was a pretty bad spot. I just think probably the spot wasn't that good for Indiana either, which is why it wasn't on my card. But Chicago, bad spot. Maybe they're going to show up with a better performance here against the Knicks. Chicago, some of these games they have actually been putting in effort, so maybe they do that here. I think Chicago is also dealing with all that Jaden Ivey distraction here. They should not have gotten rid of him. The Knicks just beat Memphis. They're returning home from a road trip, so it is a bad spot for the Knicks because they've been on the road since last Thursday. They went as far as Oklahoma City, Houston, and again, returning home from road trips, a lot of times the team will be distracted, not pay attention to their opponent, especially when it's not a good opponent. And they finished the season with all teams that are in the playoff picture. They finished the season against Atlanta, Boston, Toronto, and Charlotte. So those are all bigger games than this one. This looks like the flat spot for the Knicks. If I was going to play any NBA game today, it would be the Chicago Bulls plus the points. But it looks like the Bulls are a public underdog. What is going on here, man? 67% of tickets on the Bulls, only 66% of the cash. And the Knicks are minus 15.5. I don't see that at all. I don't know why the market read looks like that. I never really want to be on a team that looks like a public dog like that with less of the money on them. But I can't see any other way of looking at this game. It would be Bulls plus the points for me in that one. And I do think it's the strongest opinion that I have in basketball today. So do with that information what you want. Utah at Houston. Utah on a pretty bad losing streak. I mean, they're an injured team. They're just playing out the stretch here. Maybe they get up for a game against Houston, but they just played Denver at home and took a loss there. I mean, they played some tough games recently against Denver, Phoenix, Cleveland, Denver, OKC on deck. So this is a tough stretch for Utah. Houston could be in a bit of a letdown right now because they did just officially clinch a playoff spot by beating Milwaukee the other night, combined with Phoenix losing last night. Houston is now guaranteed a playoff spot, so they're going to avoid the play-ins. So they might be happy about that. They might overlook Utah here. They do have Golden State on deck and then that Phoenix team after that. So those games might mean more than this Utah game. It's a tough spot for Utah playing all these games in all these big games in a row, though. Excuse me, not really in quick succession, but a lot of big games in a row. Houston's minus 17 here. 68% of the tickets, 55% of the cash on the Rockets. I agree with all the market reads here except for the Bulls Knicks, and that's the one I have the strongest opinion on. I don't love that at all. But, yeah, I would lean to taking the points with the Jazz in that one. Looks like the cash is indicating that way, but I don't love it. Toronto at Memphis. Toronto, I believe, still fighting to try to avoid the play-ins here in the East. But they do have Boston on deck, so maybe a look ahead here. They got Celtics, Miami, New York, then Brooklyn to finish the season. So all those games, except for the Brooklyn one, are bigger than this one. But Toronto might be a little bit pissed because they did just lose at home to Sacramento. That was a horrible loss for Toronto there. as a big favorite. So a lot of times when that happens, you will just show up focused in the next game. And they were coming off a big game against Detroit the game prior to that, where they were kind of hanging around in that game. So you could argue the spot wasn't that good for Toronto. Maybe they will show up for this game against Memphis. Memphis really doesn't have a whole lot to play for here, of course. I mean, Memphis, they don't have anything to play for. But they're going to get up for certain games. But maybe one of those games was that one on Wednesday against the Knicks, where I believe they covered the spread in that game, and they still lost. But, you know, it was a game that they probably put in an effort for. Maybe they won't as much with Toronto, even though they have a chance to play spoiler-ish and, you know, potentially knock the Raptors into the play-ins here. But in this game, I actually agree with the market in this one. I would actually lay the points with Toronto here. They're up to 13.5 from 11, though, so you've lost a little bit of value on that number, although once it gets into these high numbers, the specific number matters a little bit less. 78% of the tickets, 92% of the cash on them. I don't disagree with the Raptors. It's one of the rare situations where I lean laying the double-digit points here. Sometimes that is the case in the NBA. I may very well be doing it once we get into the playoffs, man. You may see me actually give out a play where I actually do that. We'll see. This one isn't strong enough for me to actually do it or anything, but Toronto is actually pretty good on the road. So 21-17 doesn't look that great, but they're not very good at home, so I'd probably rather have Toronto on the road than elsewhere, although I'd rather have them as an underdog, but, you know. Celtics at Milwaukee. Celtics did just smash Miami, so a nice bounce back for the Celtics there. Celtics, I think, scored 53 points in the first quarter of that game against Miami. I don't know if they're really going to pay attention to Milwaukee here, man. Celtics might just sleepwalk through this game. They have Toronto, Charlotte, and the Knicks all up next, which are all TV games. They're all games against teams that are at least going to be in the play-in. Bucks are not going to make it, so the Bucks, this is going to be one of the Bucks games that they might get up for the remainder of the year here. But they're returning home from Houston. They actually played pretty well in that game against Houston, so maybe not the greatest spot for Milwaukee here, but I would not lay it with the Celtics. They're an 18-point favorite here, up from 15.5. 78% of the tickets on the Celtics, 69% of the cash coming back in on the Bucks. I agree with that money as well. I agree with Milwaukee in that one. But again, it's not a strong opinion. Like I don't want to play any of these games. Giannis, I'm pretty sure, is probably shut down for the season at this point. Looks like his brother is a game-time decision now as well. Bobby Portis also out for Milwaukee, so they're really lacking here. Rollins, game-time decision. Yeah, I mean, things not going well for Milwaukee. Like, I don't think the Celtics they better win this game at the very least and maintain their lead over the Knicks, because the Celtics are still at least trying to clinch the 2 seed here, so at least they have home advantage over the Knicks, but still, which I think will matter, again, because the Knicks have been a really disparate team where they're way better at home than on the road. So, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, there's no way I would lay it with the Celtics. I lean to taking the points with Milwaukee there. Orlando at Dallas. This game was one of the more difficult ones for me to figure out. Orlando has something to play for because they're playing to avoid the play-ins here, though looks like they're probably going to get stuck in the play-ins at this point. They're coming off a very ugly home loss to Atlanta. I know Atlanta's been playing well, but losing by almost 30 points on your home floor is pretty bad. Wagner, I believe, returned in that game, so it was a reverse injured player spot, which I didn't realize he was actually going to be back in that game. I wasn't sure. So that's one thing to consider, that Orlando might have been in a little bit of a worse spot, because with one of your best players coming back, a lot of times you'll kind of take your foot off the gas, like mentally a little bit. And now he came off the bench, I believe, and he played okay, I think. And this is his second game back now, where he is probably going to rejoin the starting lineup. So this might be a better spot for Orlando now after they took that horrible loss. Now they're kind of used to Wagner being back. You know, they might do better here against Dallas. Dallas really doesn't have anything to play for here other than the fact that they did just get embarrassed against Milwaukee in their last game. Couple of bad losses in a row, but they do have the Lakers on deck, and maybe that's a bigger game because that's still the Luka battle and whatever. It's on TV. Although Luka got hurt last night. We don't know what his injury is until the MRI results today come out, but I'm not shedding a tear over it, man. And I was correct with my lean on the Thunder yesterday, too. I kind of like Orlando in this game, man. This is one where the market is completely disagreeing with me, though. The Magic are up to 6.5. I know it's a bit of a price to lay on the road with a team like Orlando, but they're the team with motivation, although the problem is they do have to win by margin, though. So, like, if they were a dog or a very small favorite, it was just, like, win the game, I would like it a lot better, obviously. Because you're going to get enough motivation that they're going to be trying to win the game, but they don't really need to cover. 50% of tickets on the Magic, 81% of the cash on the Mavs. I kind of lean Magic in that one, but that's definitely a stay away. And then the last game on NBA TV for some reason is New Orleans and Sacramento. New Orleans, these teams both have nothing to play for. New Orleans has lost 6 games in a row. New Orleans is on a back-to-back, although they had some rest prior to playing yesterday. So they're not going to be totally unrested, but they played yesterday. They got to go from Portland to Sacramento here. Sacramento is returning home from a road trip, so I don't like that either. They're returning from Toronto. They've been away since Tuesday, March 24th. They're on the road this whole time, out on the Eastern time zone the whole time. Pulled off the upset of Toronto to finish the road trip. This is a horrible spot for Sacramento. Returning home from a road trip here, you know, they got to cross time zones. A lot of times you get back home, as I always say, you get distracted. You got to get back to home life, whatever. Maybe they'll focus more on the Clippers in their next game. Terrible, terrible spot for Sacramento. So even though it's a back-to-back for the Pelicans, I actually like the Pelicans here. They're up from 4.5 to 6, but the money is not agreeing with me on that one either. 67% of tickets are on New Orleans, 61% of the cash on the Kings. I might prefer an over in this game, though, because you have two teams that are going nowhere. And I always say when two teams are just completely out of it and they're just playing out the stretch, the game doesn't really matter to them. It can become a scrimmage. Like the defenses won't be as intense just because they don't want to get hurt. Kings might not be playing intense defense, returning home off a kind of crazy upset. So that also, I think, might help that over, with the Kings' defense probably not being very good here. Pelicans on a back-to-back, so their defense might be unrested as well, although they didn't play for a few days before that. So I like the over in that. Probably I like the over better than the side in that game. Total did drop slightly to 234.5, but that's it, man. No college basketball today. We'll be back tomorrow with the Final Four, and there's going to be a huge hockey board, a huge MLB board. I don't know if I want to, like, split it up and maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do, man, because it's going to be a fucking long show if I try to do all that. It'll be at least 2 hours, so I got to decide if I want to split it up and do, like, a separate baseball show or something. I don't know. We'll see. And there'll be some NBA tomorrow, too. That's going to do it. My one play is the under in Giants, Mets, Giants, whatever. You might be able to get under 8 on that as well, but 7.5, not much of a difference there. You get that key number there. So either way, that's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe. Give me comments on the channel here. That all helps me out. Listen on audio. Give me good reviews on audio. That all helps me out as well. Apple, Spotify, all that. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. I know my voice has been bad, dude. I haven't been able to do the Uke stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what I want to do about that. I apologize to the Patreon supporters. It is mostly just, supporting my stuff for the most part. But yeah, I got to maybe do some Patreon-only streams or something. I don't know. Just trying to build the channel, though, and try to monetize this thing for now. And then Losercast will be back on Tuesday. We may have a guest on that one, too. I don't know. It's not up to me on that show, so we'll see. But that's going to do it for now. Yeah, I'll be back either tonight or tomorrow morning or both to talk about all the crap that's going on tomorrow. That's going to do it. Peace.